In this series of videos, these are my Q&A, all about Poshmark. In this series of videos, I will be taking it from the morning show, from the topic of the morning, whether it be the Q&As of my morning shows, for those who cannot make it. And this way here, you will still be able to enjoy the contents, but without all the things that I do in the morning show. And so I hope you enjoy this. And also, don't forget, you can ask those questions that you may be thinking about when you're going to want to take that plunge or take that step and you haven't done it yet for a particular platform. That's what we're here for, so come on in and enjoy the show. If this is your first time tripping over my channel, I want to thank you so much for coming by. And also, if you've been returning, I want to thank you for your continuing support to the channel. But everything that I'm going to ask you is free. I'd like you to do me a big favor. Right below this video, that word subscribe, make sure you subscribe to the channel, especially if you like the content. And also, after you do that, make sure right next to it there's the notifications. Make sure you hit all three, because the very top one is where you get all your notifications at. Then also hit me the thumbs up. That does help the channel. But most importantly, give me those comments below, because guess what? That helps the channel, but it also helps me interact with you, because I do answer each and every one of those comments.
Tuesday show, I'll have another lineup for you today. This will be every Thursday. But have you ever thought about maybe Poshmark? There's a lot of questions I'm sure you have. And why not bring on someone who knows about Poshmark, has been doing it for quite a while, and every time we have a conversation, it seems to be about, sometimes it gets to Poshmark. Welcome. So get your questions ready. If you're interested in getting into Poshmark, here's your opportunity every Thursday when bringing on none other than our favorite Poshmark queen. Here's Glammaz Closet. And don't forget to unmute.
Oh my God, Poshmark would be cracking up right now if they knew I was a Poshmark queen. They would be laughing so hard.
So how are you doing this morning? Great to have you on, and thank you for doing this with me today. We're going to be starting to do this series every Thursday. Glammaz, tell her a little bit about yourself and give a little introduction for those. We do have some new people in our community that has been coming into the morning show that may not know who you are. So promote yourself and what you're doing on your channel and what you do with Poshmark a little bit, just a teaser.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dana, and I am Glammaz from Glammaz Closet on YouTube. I also have a Poshmark closet I've had for almost 3 years now. And so I sell primarily on Poshmark. I do mostly like clothing and accessories and shoes and jewelry and things like that. But there's a very wide range of things you can sell on Poshmark, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And I've sold just about a little bit of everything, really. So that is me, just a Midwestern Glammaz, looking for a good, looking to give somebody a good bargain on some stuff. Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a YouTube special that you do every weekend. Talk a little bit about that.
Every Saturday morning, we get together and we do. It's a little analytical. It can get a little salty. I have salty treats, but we also have a lot of fun. We have a live chat every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Come and join us. Have coffee. We just really hang out and chat. We talk about reseller news. We also talk about news of fashion. So if anybody's looking for fashion news, fashion updates, what's selling, is there anything that's problematic? Things like that. We also do a little bit of a 7th inning stretch. And of course, I love to give shout outs. I love to make sure that everybody gets the credit that they're due for the many, many acts of kindness. So we also do Sweets for the Sweetest shout outs as well.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start a question off real easy to get the ball rolling. I know I've been on eBay, and most people do a major platform. Mm-hmm. How is it compared to, with doing Poshmark, how is it compared to eBay when it comes to listing? Is it easy? Is it a lot harder? Talk a little bit about that.
You just threw me a softball. Honestly, that was the biggest meatball across the plate. Poshmark and eBay are, I list on both actually. Good morning, Patrick. I list on both, and the Poshmark is so easy. They do, I would, for Poshmark, I really would do every picture that you can from every angle and measurements. They're always going to ask for measurements. But as far as listing goes, I list from my phone. I take the pictures from my phone and list from my phone, so I never have to get my computer involved. I also, it's only got, like, it doesn't ask country of origin. It doesn't ask, like, you know, subcategories and stuff like that. It's really like, what are you selling? What color is it? What brand is it? What size is it? And is it new or old or used? And do you have any descriptors that you want to add? And then they ask the original price. And for me, I always put in 0 unless I have the price tag on it that says something over $500, because if it's over $500, I want to impress them, right? But usually if they ask me like the original price, I just type in 0. You don't actually have to type in the original price. You don't have to look that stuff up. And then what price I want to sell it at. And then I hit list, and that is it. That's it. Listing is so easy. I'm kind of a techno dummy, so I go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, when doing Poshmark, I know from what I've heard, again, I've only been reselling for a little over 3 years, but the stigma about the Poshmark is that you can only do clothing. Now, didn't they redo that to where you can also do more than just clothing?
Oh, yes, they did. They have, you can list, the things that you can list on Poshmark are anything from housewares, any type of housewares. There is pet, anything to do with pets. Anything with pets does have to be new with tags. It does have to be new. You can do electronics. You can pretty much almost sell now anything on Poshmark that you would on eBay. I've done books, comic books. I've done toys, kids' clothes, you know, all sorts of stuff. Collector's items, vintage items, all of that. Yeah.
Now, New England Thrifter Helen says, I used to list on Poshmark all the time. Love the easy shipping, not fond of the sharing. That brings me to my next question I was going to ask in reference to that, because I even hear, and I speak with the postal clerk at our post office. She's always talking about wanting to get into eBay, but she does Poshmark and she loves it. So, and she talks a lot about this sharing of closet. Now, I hear different people talking about they don't have to sit there and share it anymore because there's different programs. So talk a little bit more about the sharing of the closet and what they have available for you as a Poshmark reseller.
When Poshmark is talking about sharing a closet, what they want you to do is share your items. What that does for you is it sort of puts your items at the top of the algorithm, at the top of the search bar, whenever somebody's looking something up. So sharing is important on Poshmark, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. I've been using a bot for about 1.5 years now. I use Posher VA, and I sell enough on Poshmark to make it worth the $25 a month that I pay for Posher VA. And what it does is you can actually set it up. You can even pre-time it. You can schedule a time for your Poshmark closet to share, and it'll share every available listing in your Poshmark closet. So it kind of puts it back at the top of the search engine. Now, remember too that millions of people are doing this, so you have to share more than once a day. I share my closet anywhere between 10 and 15 times a day. But with the bot, with the Posher VA, I just set it up to do that. And then sometimes I'll just go in and just push the button just for giggles. If you have a newer closet though, and you have like less than 10 listings or less than 20 listings, it's probably going to be in your best interest to just share them manually, unless you're selling like 10 or 20 really expensive things and you get your money back on that.
Right.
So to share manually, you just hit like one button that says share, and then it shares it.
Okay, we have a question from Shopping on the Low. What happens to the followers following when they unfollow you? I know it's a tongue twister. I got you, boo. So yeah, she wants to know basically what happens to the followers who are following you when they unfollow you.
Not a lot. Nothing.
They just don't follow you
Honestly,
anymore.
not a thing. Yeah, they just don't follow me anymore, and they can unfollow me. It's not like YouTube where it counts against you. Poshmark doesn't really take into account. I know that they've got like, you know, this many you're following and this many following you. Nobody pays attention to that. To be brutally honest, the only time that you would want to pay attention to that is if maybe you wanted ambassador status. And if you want ambassador status, you have to have a certain amount of followers. But other than that, nobody pays attention to it. And after that first certain amount of followers, you won't pay attention to it. You're like, I don't care who's following me and who's not. That's not right. It's not like YouTube.
Now, Dawn says that I use Flip, which I use as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do have that information in the description bar below where she doesn't have time. So she uses them to do it for sharing out because she doesn't have time to do it herself. Do you know anything about that with Flip?
I do know something about that. It's Flip, Vendu, List Perfectly. A lot of those platform sharing, they call them like a multi-platform sharing tool. And a lot of those you can set up much like you would the Posher VA, which is virtual assistant. Thank you for pointing that out. A lot of those you can set up just like you would the listing assistant, where they will share your closet for you. So it really, again, just depends on what your monthly budget is for marketing. Dawn, you keep forgetting that you even have a Poshmark closet. Yeah. I do the same thing with eBay. I got to be honest. But yeah, there are people who are constantly sharing. I'm one of those people because I do want my stuff at the top of the list. But again, I have, you know, they're like Posher VA in that you can actually pre-program times to follow. Do they take their followers with them? No, because that's a good question. If somebody unfollows you, it doesn't mean, if somebody follows you, it doesn't mean that all of their followers are also now following you. So if they unfollow you, it's just them.
So Dawn says that I haven't listed or shared on my Poshmark in ages, but I still keep getting followers.
Yeah. There are some, the Posher VA will pick up, they'll pick up, like, you know, if you have like new people and they need to follow somebody, they'll pick up randoms all over the place. And if somebody decides to like something that you have listed, a lot of times they'll pick them up as a follower. So yeah, the followers, honestly, on Poshmark, unless you're trying to reach ambassador status, which we'll talk about that in a minute, unless you're trying to reach ambassador status, it doesn't really mean too much.
Right. Michael says Poshmark is like Instagram as a platform, but designed to be a selling environment, and with bots totally automated and the shipping process easier in the industry.
They do have the easiest shipping process ever. Everything that you send out from Poshmark goes priority mail. And I sell something and they print me up a label, and that is it. Like, they send me a label, I print it, that's it. So there's no calculating shipping. There's none of that. Now, Poshmark doesn't sell internationally.
Oh.
And that's where eBay has a really keen advantage for overseas sales and things like that. Poshmark doesn't sell internationally at this time. Okay. They do have a Poshmark Canada and a separate Poshmark for the UK that they're just starting up. They're just ramping up.
Live Style and Wine says, honestly, becoming a Poshmark ambassador did nothing for my sales, so I couldn't make it a priority. It wouldn't make it a priority.
And that's the thing, because usually when you're new with Poshmark, it's like, oh, I want that ambassador status. And then you get it and you realize it made absolutely zero difference in your life whatsoever. And then they have ambassador gold status, and that makes absolutely zero difference in your life whatsoever.
Now, I've heard some people talking in reference to, because there are some other channels that I watch that do Poshmark. Isn't there like 2 different levels of ambassador or something like that I've been hearing about?
There is. There's regular ambassador status, which you really, I think most new people just get kind of caught up in the whole thing, and they're like, oh, I want ambassador status. And so they try to gain that ambassador status. And then once you gain it, you're looking around, you're like, what's the thing?
Is there like any perks that go with that? What is
No.
the label of ambassador?
Yeah, that's just it. You just have the ambassador label and there's no perks. Now there is also the next level up is a Poshmark Gold ambassador level. The only perk that I found with that one is that on Poshmark Gold ambassador level, you actually get to reach out to Poshmark customer service a little more easily. They send you the information for that.
Mm-hmm.
So as a seller, you get more attention from Poshmark customer service, or you actually get access to it. So that's kind of the weird part of it. I've never had to use it, but
following and followers don't mean anything on Poshmark. I think it's more of a gimmick or just to look cool and similar on Instagram. I think that's what I'm hearing.
That's true. It is literally, I mean, if you're on Poshmark now, the only thing I can think of is that, you may get more exposure if you're sharing to your followers, because when you share, you either share to a party or you share to followers. And I share to my followers. So it does reach more people, I guess, but I mean, it's in their news feed. It's not like it's, it's not like it's really doing too much for you.
Shopping on the List asks a question: do you price your items the same as you do on other platforms?
That is a great question. Poshmark takes 20% off the top of any sale that you do. So it depends on what the other platforms are. If I'm trying to sell something on Facebook Marketplace, no, absolutely not, because Facebook Marketplace takes the most minimum amount ever. If I'm trying to sell something on like eBay, yeah, eBay's ultimately, the fees on eBay add up to about that 20% between the, priority listings and stuff like that. I don't really sell up on Poshmark. The only thing that I will do is on Posh, because I know that they know what brands, there are some more expensive brands that aren't well known. And usually the shoppers on Posh kind of know those. So if it's like a Aritzia, Aquitalia, things like that the average Joe who's looking for designer wouldn't know, those I would price appropriately on Poshmark and not list on anywhere else, just because I know who my shoppers are and I know that they know what this is and what the value is.
Yvonne says, I sell a lot of records. Problem is Poshmark considers records electronics and Poshmark doesn't send priority, then sending parcel select ground.
For any electronics, that's the only difference, is that the shipping, they will send parcel select ground instead of priority. If you wanted to upgrade the shipping, that may be possible, but I wouldn't spend extra on that shipping. With records too, I just feel like for that particular thing, I've sold electronics on Poshmark before, but I have to tell you, I've had a lot more luck on eBay with electronics, just a lot more luck. It has to do with who's looking on what platform for what. So if I have, it's not that Poshmark doesn't get gentlemen callers. It's that honestly, and I hate to be like stereotyping, but most straight men look on eBay before they would look on Poshmark. They think Poshmark's all ruffle skirts, a lot of them.
And Dawn made a comment about Mark's comment about underwear.
Used underwear. If you think I have never sold used underwear on Poshmark, you are completely wrong.
Okay.
Now, yeah, not mine. God, not mine.
He says, I'm guessing selling used underwear on Poshmark is frowned upon. And also,
Not really. As long as they're clean and they're in good condition. If they're clean and in good condition, you're not going to get much for them. You're probably going to end up paying Poshmark because, you know, it's not that kind of platform. But yeah, you can actually sell. There are lingerie where, you know, ladies will wear it once and never again. Or they will get it and decide that they don't like it. So it's still new with tags, still hanging on there. Yeah, I've sold that. Sure. I have lingerie pieces in my closet right now.
All right. So my next question is going to be with this one with Dawn. She says, I sell nothing on Poshmark, even though my bot shares. However, I only have 50 listings and I don't sell clothing. I do have some shoes and jewelry. So with that statement, does Poshmark have anything against your store going dormant? Or what is that? Is that similar to the eBay where you want to kind of do something with your store every day to keep it active?
With Poshmark, the more active you are and the more that you list, it's kind of like eBay that way. The more active that you list, the more active that you are in your closet, the more attention you're going to get. Okay. You kind of, if you're listing like a certain amount per day, then they pick up and take notice of that.
But Liv Stellar and Wine says, oh goodness, Poshmark customer service is useless.
They can be. They can be. Absolutely. They sometimes, you know, I am in touch with customer service and it works out in my favor, but I don't have to interact with them that often. So, you know, and sometimes they are literally, you're trying to reach out to Poshmark and you cannot get a person. You know, but I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, please let me know, but I feel like that's kind of that way mostly across all of the platforms.
Yeah, as long as you are listing consistently like you should be already, you would still get sales, but you're totally right, Glammaz. Most followers could potentially mean more eyes seeing your items. Yeah.
Hi, 717.
Very true. There is crossover between Poshmark and eBay to an extent, but there is also a large number of people who are only shopping on one or the other. Yep. Let's see. Poshmark is an unpredictable mystery.
Yes.
She
is. There is Veronica, that's hilarious. There is a type of person, and I actually am this person who knows exactly specifically what they want, what size, what color, what it is, who makes it, that sort of thing, and will go into Google and bring up whatever they can. In that case, your Poshmark, you know, you want to have just shared because your Poshmark's going to hop up there on that Google search as well as the eBay or whoever else is selling Macari, you know, the Real, whoever. So in that way, I think you tend to get, you know, people who sort of wander in and they're not actually already Poshmark members. They wander in, purchase something, and then leave, and that may be their only Poshmark experience. Wow. So I always like to share as much as possible because you never know who's Google searching what at what time.
In the chat, I am highlighting them in the star if I see you with a question or a statement, and we'll go ahead and get to it when we can. In your opinion, is Posh a better platform for clothing than eBay, or is it just another platform? That's a good question.
That is a great question, and I have a kind of a long answer, and I'm just going to apologize in advance.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so here's been my experience, and this is just my personal experience. I'm not quoting, you know, the Bible or anything like that. Mm-hmm. In my experience, eBay is much better for men's clothing. eBay is much better for sneakers. Any sneakerhead, I always have more success with eBay than I do with Poshmark. Also, things like waders, hunting jackets, fishing jackets, you know, things that are very outdoorsy, Nike. Under Armour, things like that. Usually I like to cross list those on eBay because with eBay, I find that more people are looking at that particular brand. Mm-hmm. That being said, with Poshmark, I have much more success with designer brands. I have much more success with designer, and it doesn't have to be Gucci. It could be Coach. I've had much more success with dresses, skirts, hosiery, heels. I have more success with expensive brands that are not well known by the public. I have there's a thing called stealth wealth. And those are super expensive brands, but not everybody knows about them. And it's sort of an old money aesthetic. I have much more success on Poshmark with that. So I would recommend, if you get a chance, to cross list. And Veronica Mitka, if you check out her Relist and Relax tonight, she's got in her description, she's actually got Vendu, and that's the one that I'm planning on signing up with. So that is, I think that each platform has its strengths. And I think clothing is such a wide array. It's like saying electronics, which one is better? You know, there's such a wide array of what that could mean, that really look at the clothing and go, okay, who's buying this? And really kind of try to figure out who your buyer would be for this piece of clothing. And then, you know, if you get a chance to cross list, that's great. But if you have to pick one or the other, you know, just base it on who's looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Okay. Veronica said posh parties are useless, so it's community sharing. Fight me, LOL. I'm not going to fight you on that. I think a lot of people are intimidated when they go onto Poshmark about the social aspect of it, the parties, the sharing, all of that. You can have your bot do all of that. And as far as like attending the posh parties, because it's like, you know, the posh party at 11 a.m. is designer, and the posh party at 2 is for kids, and the posh party at 6 is for all. And don't bother. Don't bother. I have yet to receive a direct sale from that has been like, oh yeah, I saw you on the posh party. It just doesn't happen. And if you're a host pick, yay, you're the first time. And then afterwards you're like, oh God, this is the kiss of death. So yeah, I honestly don't even pay attention to posh parties. Anyone who's been on it for any amount of time does not pay attention to that party stuff. That's crap.
With your Poshmark, don't you have an affiliate link if somebody's interested? How does the affiliate link work, and how can somebody get a hold to you for an affiliate link to support you with going on to Poshmark if they were interested?
On most of my videos, I'll put the affiliate link, and they're more than welcome to, you know, click on that and become a Posh, you know, start selling on Posh. I get credit for it, and I honestly, I've only ever done it once, and I got a $10 prize. I'm not sure if that happens every time. Veronica actually does more than I do on that particular one. But as far as like it helps you with your gold ambassador status, and that's about it.
Okay.
About it. And then you get, you know, you get like a certain amount of, I think you get $10 for every follower that you get. Yeah.
There's a Facebook group, and usually you can go there and they'll directly get your answer to you quicker. Do y'all have anything like that with Poshmark, where if they can't get in touch with you through there, do y'all have like a platform you can also go to contact someone directly? Have they did that for y'all?
Not that I'm aware of. And again, I've only had to contact Poshmark a couple of times. And usually by the time I contact them, I'm in the middle of a hissy fit, so they tend to listen.
Okay.
No, once I got the gold ambassador status, they you know, they gave me the, I guess, the key to the kingdom or whatever. The thing that I found frustrating was trying to reach out to Poshmark before I hit the gold ambassador status. You really did have to email them. And what I found was the same thing that I found in the hospitality industry and sales, was that if you want to be heard, keep repeating yourself. Keep repeating yourself, keep repeating yourself. And eventually somebody is going to listen, because they want you to go away.
Right. Lifestyle Rewind also says I should be doing this for part-time on Posh for 7-ish years, and I have made almost 10K on this site. So it's still worth watching and checking out on your items. And I know I just messed that up, but you got the idea. Let's see here. Cheryl, good to see you. Hello, good morning and welcome. If you have any questions, definitely. All right, Carol, thank you for letting us know.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just what sell better on eBay versus Poshmark platforms all the time. Yeah, and it's like that because there's even a kids type clothing or kids things platform to list on as well, isn't there?
Yeah, they have gosh, they have kids clothing, kids shoes, toys, books. I mean, it's all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I tried listing on Kuisine. I tried a couple of Kuisine listings and I just was getting no love. So for the Kuisine listings, I actually ended up pulling that stuff down and taking it locally to Once Upon a Child. And I just got my money right away. So it's just me being impatient.
eBay, I don't mess with anymore due to they charge too much. We need to do some Nextdoor. Okay. There's nothing wrong with the Nextdoor app. You can also post stuff there too. I will try Poshmark. Awesome.
It doesn't cost anything to try, but they do take 20% off the top. So you want to keep that in mind whenever you're doing your selling. Also, if you have something, they will ship up to 5 pounds. So anything, if you have something that's heavier than 5 pounds, you want to make sure that you get, extra shipping, that you pay for the extra shipping.
Thomas says, thank you very much for the detailed answer. That was the information I was looking for. That's
good. Cool. Thank you, Tommy.
That's what we want to do. We want to make sure we get you answers. And if it takes the long wind away, then we'll do that. But that's a great question. Now, I hear a lot of different people, including my postal clerks. I keep pointing to her because every time I talk with her about eBay, she's talking about Poshmark. And so what is this thing with the parties and how does that work? And is that something you have to set up at a certain time? And how does that work on that?
Poshmark. Yeah, when Poshmark started, they wanted to do, they wanted to be sort of like the Instagram or the Facebook or the Twitter or whatever of reselling, right? So they were speaking to millennials at the time. And what they did was they tried to make it like more of a social site. So they have every morning now this is like 11 a.m. my time, so I'm not sure. But they're a Pacific Coast company. That's why they've got the timing is kind of weird. So every day they have 4 different Poshmark parties. They have one at 11 a.m., one at 2 in the afternoon. And what it is people go on and they share those specific things to those specific parties. So for example, if it's best in jeans party at 2 o'clock this afternoon, a Poshmark seller could go on and share all of the jeans in their closet, right? And all these jeans would show up. Now we're talking about millions of people sharing at the same time. So my question is, would you rather share to a party where everybody's got the same thing? Somebody could have the same thing as you priced much lower. Or would you rather sell sort of in between those parties and around those parties, or even on the back side of those parties, and actually be more of a singular thing as opposed to one of billions, right? So, so posh parties are pretty much, they are, for me, and again, with new people, they're gonna try it. They're like, "Ooh, posh party, da 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 da." Honestly, for me, they're utterly useless. And so I just let my bot share because my bot knows best. I've set up my bot to share, and sometimes at the same time as parties. I mean, you can throw a thing or two into a party so it looks like you're like, yay, Poshmark. But honestly, most of the time I just let my bot share things. And yeah, I don't go to the parties. Nobody goes to the parties. So the biggest misconception that I find with hard goods resellers and with people who aren't normally on Posh is that you have to be social and that you have to reach out and you have to make Posh, they call them PFFs, Posh Friends Forever. And that you have to, hang out with people and do the online lives. You don't have to do any of that. Program your bot and walk away. That's it.
Is it beneficial, and can you make money from doing that? I mean, is it worth it, and what's the purpose of it?
For me, it's never been worth it. For me, it's never been worth it. I find that I make more money being social on YouTube, and sharing my Poshmark Closet link, and then people go and they shop it and they're like, oh yeah, I like these boots or whatever. But the majority of what you're getting is not from a party. The majority of what you're getting from a sales is just people looking for something specific, or somebody going, oh, I need a little black dress for a party, and they pull up little black dress and they're looking for that. So it's kind of like that. Ella has a posh party theory that I would like to address.
I'm gonna get to that next because I'm trying to highlight as an order.
Yeah,
on this one, Stacy says, when I know on Flip with this portion of the question, if you use Flip and or Bonanza, anything you sell on those that you're selling on another platform that you bring to them, yes, they will take it off of the original platform. But remember, if you're listed, say for example on eBay, say you have 5 items listed and you sold one on another platform by using a cross-posting like Flip or Bonanza, you got to remember that you have to go back and check, because usually they may delete the whole thing. So you definitely want to go back and still check and make sure they're only removing one, and sometimes they don't even remove that one. So you definitely want to double check it. But on this one for you on Poshmark, when cross-listing on these platforms, when a piece sells on these platforms connected with another place, for example, Poshmark, and you're cross-posting with it from another platform, do they remove it manually, or do they remove it automatically, or do you have to manually remove it from the site?
That is a great question. Yeah. And here is my answer for that. It depends on how you do it. So my personal closet at this time, I have it separated into Poshmark and eBay. So if I sell something on eBay, it's automatically going to go sold, and it's not cross-listed to Poshmark. My friends, 2 of my friends, Veronica and Chloe, have Vendu, and they are cross-listed on Vendu. So with them cross-listing to Vendu, if they have something sell on one platform, ideally Vendu will remove it from the other platforms. However, I've noticed Ronnie and I were just talking about this last week, that you really do have to follow up. You're right, Johnny. You do have to follow up and just sort of make sure that everything is correct, that they have been removed from the other platforms.
All right, Tommy has another great question, and has to do with, you keep talking about a bot.
Yes.
A bot. Can you explain how the bots work that you keep speaking of?
Yeah, absolutely. When I say bot, I mean robot, obviously, or maybe not obviously. But I went to, here's how I set it up. I went to a Posher VA, which is virtual assistant. I went to Posher VA. It's one of the many bots that you can get, and it's the one that I had heard the most good feedback about. So I went to Posher VA. I signed up with them, and then they've got a little hanger that sits at the top of a little hanger icon that sits at the top of my main page now. Anytime I want to share my closet manually, and when I say manually, I mean like anytime I want to share my closet, I can just go up, click on that, and then hit share, and bada bing, it'll share all the available listings. And we will take, if you'd like, what I can do is for next week, I can actually hook it up to where I have the screen share, and we can kind of look at Posher VA and really look at all the options that they have. But you can set it up to where you share to the shows or without the shows. You can set it up to where you share at certain times. You can set it up to share available onlys. It's also got the option to relist things, to delist things first and then relist them, so you get a fresh listing from it, and change pricing. It's got a bulk offer share where you can send out like sales on your closet if you're like 25% off the board or something across the board or something like that for Memorial Day sale. You can do that. So it's got a lot of options.
Let's see. Go back up. Here's Ella's statement or a question that you wanted to touch on. With Posh parties, you can have the host to pick an item from your closet to share during the party.
It's correct, and I've had she is correct on that. It's called a host pick, and sometimes wish I could get those annoying lines. Sometimes I've never gotten a sale from being a host pick. It feels good to be a host pick. You're like, yay, look at me and my good taste. But ultimately, I've never gotten a sale from a host pick. And in reality, sometimes those have been kind of a kiss of death, where it's a host pick and nobody really cares about that. I mean, you have to look at what your buyers care about, not what the other people on Poshmark care about, because the other people on Poshmark are doing exactly what you're doing and trying to sell their stuff.
And Tommy says he's got a question. What is the cost or associated with that bot, with the bot?
The one that I use is Posher VA, and it is $25 a month. And I just do an auto pay out of my checking account, out of the checking account that I use for business. I just do an auto pay out of that every month. And for me, it's absolutely worth it. It has saved me hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time.